From the Ministry of the Presidency in Georgetown, this is This Week with the President, with Janelle Carter.
Welcome to another edition of This Week with the President, a weekly news magazine which provides you with an in-depth look at the policies, programs, and work of the President of Guyana in his quest to realize the good life for all Guyanese. I'm your host, Janelle Carter. In the news this week, government commits to supporting the strengthening of the gold mining industry. President Granger announces plan to support the development of the aviation sector. Government to open up information superhighway to all Guyanese children. The mining sector is important to the national economy, and as such, it is vital that it receives significant attention from the central government. Against this backdrop, the administration has been focusing heavily on all aspects of the sector as the country develops its national patrimony. Earlier this week, President David Granger visited the operations of the Guyana Gold Fields and Aurora Gold Mine Incorporated in Region 7 to witness the pouring of the first gold.
Guyana Gold Fields is now positioned to intensify production and by so doing to contribute to its own profitability, but also to the prosperity of this nation and to all posterity. As you know, through our Sovereign Wealth Fund, we'll ensure that a little piece of what was poured today, a little piece of what will be poured over the next 17 or 27 years will remain in that fund for posterity.
The mining sector, particularly the gold industry, has seen several successful public-private sector partnerships, which have led to significant contributions to the national economy in terms of gross domestic product. However, in recent times, the issue of safety in the sector has become a matter of concern.
Mining pit accidents have led to deaths and injuries. 62 persons have lost their lives in the mining sector in the last 60 months. At least one per month. One too many per month. 25 persons lost their lives in 16 accidents between June 2014 and May 2015. Mawasi. Foreign heads of government wrote to me expressing condolences for Mawasi. You can't imagine what the death of 10 young men would mean in a country with a population of less than 1 million. Just imagine the population was like Brazil or United States and multiply, and you can see what a catastrophe Mawasi was. The lives of men and women in this industry are more precious to me than the minerals they mine. We therefore have to become more concerned about safety standards and the enforcement of those standards.
The President had ordered a commission of inquiry into the mining pit deaths. This inquiry, which was done under the guidance of Minister of Governance Raphael Trotman, found that the principal cause of these accidents was the neglect of safe mining practices. The challenges, notwithstanding, the sector continues to employ about 15,000 people directly in small, medium, and large-scale productions and sustain the livelihood of about 90,000 people. Last year, gold production accounted for 70% of GDP and is a significant foreign exchange earner, garnering US $469.8 million in 2014.
We now have to pay more attention to strategic policies, to long-term plans, and to the enforcement of the law. If all of us and our children are to benefit from the gold that is within the bowels of this country.
The government has already delivered on promises made to medium and small-scale miners with the granting of exemption from the payment of customs duty on fuel and specified mining equipment. Air transport is one of the world's most important industries. The sector plays a critical role in fueling economic growth. This is precisely why the new administration has set out a strategy to improve the local aviation industry and is prepared to work with stakeholders to ensure that Guyanese benefit from affordable and reliable air transport services. During the week, President Granger joined with Trans-Guyana Airways and the Corai Group of companies to commission a new Raytheon Beechcraft 1900D aircraft at its hangar at Ogle International Airport.
The acquisition of this aircraft represents an expression of confidence in the future of domestic commercial aviation. This aircraft undoubtedly will improve the range, reliability, quality, and competitiveness of aviation services, not only to the hinterland, but also to what I call the near abroad. The reliability and regularity of domestic aviation services is the lifeline of development of many far-flung hinterland communities. Many areas are accessible only by air. Remote communities and their residents will remain isolated from the rest of the country without air transport. We intend to end that isolation. We intend to intensify their integration with the rest of the country by increasing access to air transport.
Domestic aviation supports several essential economic activities. Approximately 13,500 passengers pass through the Ogle Airport on a monthly basis and 50,000 kilos of cargo on a daily basis.
We can look forward to a bright future without turbulence in this aviation sector. We invite private aircraft operators to be part of this future and to exploit the opportunities that will be provided over the next 5 years and beyond. The aircraft that is being commissioned here at Ogle this evening is part of that bright tomorrow.
The government stands ready to complement private sector investment with public investment. The President gave his government's commitment to working with the sector to achieve the objectives outlined in the draft aviation policy.
The first priority was to ensure independent aircraft accident investigation. We will do so. There have been more than 25 serious aviation accidents over the past decade. We support your call that these accidents must be investigated promptly and competently so that we can learn lessons from them, improve our regulatory environment, and prevent recurrences. Safety and security are overriding concerns within the local airline industry. We want safe and secure skies in Guyana. We want to ensure that Guyana has an outstanding safety and security record. And your government will work with all the stakeholders in this industry to develop plans for greater safety and security over our skies. We want an accident-free aviation sector. We want everyone who boards an aircraft in Guyana to feel secure. This requires shared responsibilities among all the players in the industry.
Through the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the government will embark on a robust project to resurface, repair, and lengthen hinterland runways. Funds have been made available for this in the 2015 national budget.
My ministry is currently in the process of finalizing our 2016 budget. To this end, we have held consultations with the Aircraft Owners Association to receive their inputs, and I am pleased to report that most of your recommendations have been favorably considered. Investment of this kind is applauded as it signals confidence in our government's plans to continue development of aviation as a driver for better socio-economic benefits for all our people.
The addition of another aircraft at the Ogle Airport also speaks well for the country's growing tourism sector. The airport has seen an influx of tourists in recent years who have made Guyana's interior their destination of choice.
Tour operators have been waiting for a long time to have access to larger air carriers with the capacity to transport larger groups in a shorter time period. And I'm even more excited that when you think of moving more people into our beautiful Kaieteur Falls, and hopefully at a cheaper price, I've done a little research and I've been told that if we extend that runway, aircrafts such as this one would be able to do the Kaieteur route, and I'm excited that more and more Guyanese are visitors, and more ordinary Guyanese that feel, and I agree with them, that quite often they're not able to take their families in the droves that we'd like to see their own beautiful Kaieteur. This aircraft and a longer runway will facilitate that expansion.
The aircraft was acquired at a cost of US $4 million and is certified to operate to an altitude of 25,000 feet and can fly non-stop charter to Puerto Rico, Manaus, Belém, and as far as Aruba. From October 1, it will be available for both day and night international charters. Even as Guyana celebrates Education Month, the President continues to emphasize the need for Guyana to catch up with the rest of the world when it comes to information and communication technology. While handing over the first laptop under the new One Laptop Per Teacher initiative at Tutorial High School, the head teacher, Ms. Walterine McLeod, the President declared that his government is going to open up the information superhighway for every Guyanese children.
Other countries are moving further and faster ahead, and Guyana is being left behind. I regard internet access, I regard the World Wide Web as being an entitlement. You cannot progress in the modern world without access to the information superhighway.
The President made the presentation to the head teacher in keeping with a personal promise and one that was made to the nation several years ago.
I made her a promise then, and today I've come to fulfill that promise. But I also made a promise to the Guyanese nation over 4 years ago. The promise was made before the 2011 general and regional elections. And I said that Guyana was being left behind in information technology and in communication. And I said that we should give every single teacher a laptop when that teacher goes into Cyril Potter College of Education. 1 laptop per teacher is what I said. Well, I had to wait to become president, but having become president now, I'm making my first 1 laptop to 1 teacher. And that's why I'm here.
It is no coincidence that the first laptop was presented even as Guyana is observing Education Month under the theme, Quality Educational Leadership, Improving Schools from Within. Over the coming weeks, each teacher upon entering Cyril Potter College of Education will receive a laptop. This initiative, the President said, is aimed at better equipping teachers to in turn prepare their students for the rapidly growing information and telecommunication age. Clearly, education is at the forefront of the new administration's policy, and this is evident through the amount of money that was recently passed in the National Assembly for the education sector. This year, a total of $33 billion has been allocated for the sector, representing 14.9% of the national budget. Meanwhile, during his address at the launch of Education Month, the Minister of Education, Dr. Rupert Roopnarine, reiterated government's approach to charting the way forward in the education system.
This is done at this time, provides for the accentuating of the importance of education and gives a boost and a fillip to the system as it enters yet another cycle. On this occasion, the commencement of the cycle coincides with regime change at the governmental level. Regime change which provides for a review of the system and the charting of the way forward. We have determined that both the review and the way forward should be evidence-based and holistic. As a consequence, notwithstanding the anecdotal and intuitive prodding, it has been decided to undertake a number of initiatives that would inform and guide future action.
The minister said both the old and new initiatives will be placed before the approved National Education Advisory Council, which is soon to be established to advise on the Ministry of Education's Vision 2020 education policy for the growth and development of the sector. Focus will also be placed on how technology could be used in the education sector for the management and delivery of service to advance hinterland education reform. Stepping away from the routine distribution of electronic devices such as laptops and tablets, the new administration will be looking at building community access to information communication technology and the development of the skills to use these tools. On September 15th, President David Granger and First Lady Mrs. Sandra Granger joined with the ambassador and staff of the Mexican Embassy in Georgetown in celebrating the 250th independence anniversary of Mexico. The event was held at the Marriott Hotel. The two countries had established bilateral relations since March 1973.
Mexicanos, viva nuestra independencia. Vivan los héroes que nos dieron patria y libertad. ¡Viva Hidalgo! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Morelos! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Vicente Guerrero! ¡Viva! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva!
Over the years, Guyana has benefited from its ties with Mexico, especially in the area of capacity building, agriculture, and health through the CARICOM Mexico Cooperation Program.
Despite disparities in wealth and size, Mexico, with a population of 150 million people, and Guyana, with a population of fewer than 1 million, share many similarities, and we seize many opportunities for collaboration. Guyana, like Mexico, adheres strongly to the values of democracy, liberty, respect for human rights, sustainable development, the rule of law, and most important, the peaceful settlement of international controversies.
The Mexican Embassy will soon be rolling out a number of projects in Guyana as part of its cooperation program.
We are already busy in capacity building. In a few days, we begin the project for the digitalization of the National Archives. And immediately after that, Mexican experts will provide training in Guyana to secondary school teachers from CARICOM countries. Our collaboration in the agricultural sector has been diverse and productive, ranging from training to stakeholders in the enhancement of the coconut industry to the promotion of Guyanese rice. We are also expanding training opportunities for Guyanese medical practitioners to pursue specialization in Mexico.
Mexico's technical assistance complements Guyana's national effort to create a more competent workforce, which is needed to provide vital services to support Guyana's development. Now we'll take a look inside the President's diary. On Thursday, students and teachers of Superuta Primary and Oriala Secondary Schools were afforded the opportunity to meet and interact with the head of state following a tour of the Ministry of the Presidency. Then on Friday, the President participated in Chile's 250th National Day celebration at Cara Lodge, where he reaffirmed his government's commitment to working with that country to promote peace in the region.
Guyana and Chile are both committed to the principles of peaceful coexistence among states, good neighborliness, the inviolability of borders, the sanctity of treaties, and respect for international law. South America can remain a zone of peace only if those principles are observed scrupulously.
The president also applauded Chile's affirmation, which states that international borders must be respected and that where dispute arises, they should be settled through peaceful means and in accordance with international laws. Also on the occasion, Chile's first ambassador to Guyana, His Excellency Mr. Claudio Rochelle Rojas, said the gift of independence must be celebrated and preserved.
Today we are celebrating an anniversary that, from the historical perspective, our independence was part of a very large process of seeking freedom and self-determination. But our nation of South America. It was a major endeavor that was thought on the basics of shared idealism and liberty and freedom, and conducted by the leadership of our founding fathers.
This week, we'll take a look at why President Granger places so much emphasis on the importance of family and how his own family life has influenced his push for stronger families for all Guyanese. The family is a social unit of two or more parents related by blood, marriage, or adoption, and having a shared commitment to the mutual relationship. Family is the single most important influence in a child's life. From their first moment of life, children depend on parents and family to protect them and provide for their needs. Being the committed father of two daughters and an evidently caring grandfather, our country's leader has time and time again stressed on the importance of families sticking together and minimizing the negative effects of broken homes.
It is a serious error for any family. It's a serious error for any country not to pay attention to the conditions of its children. Children in Guyana, unfortunately, face very severe challenges. One of them has arisen out of broken families. Throughout human history, parents will die and leave children, sometimes because of war, sometimes because of disease, sometimes because of accidents, not necessarily of their own making. But who will look after those children, the most vulnerable members of society? Have you ever held a baby in your arms? Have you ever experienced fatherhood or motherhood? Have you ever seen younger members of your family, nieces and nephews? Have you never felt sympathy, love, and affection? Anyone who has had that experience would know that only society can protect that child.
While there is no guarantee that every Guyanese child will be protected by his or her own family, the rest is left up to society, which has a responsibility to protect the country's future generation.
The human child requires special care of something called the family. And if that family is absent, it is the duty of the rest of society to do what the family ought to have been doing.
That brings us to the end of this edition of This Week with the President. For regular updates on the Ministry of the Presidency, go to our website, www.motp.gov.gy. Like our Facebook page, Ministry of the Presidency, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MOTP Guyana. I'm Janelle Carter, reminding you to be a good citizen of your country. Goodbye for now.